In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a query with user input. And as a result of that query, then we'll create also a report where the user will have to input data, some kind of data, and then the report will be created automatically or generated automatically. So first, we have here a table called contracts. And the contracts table has, notice, the customer ID, amount, signing date, and such. By the way, this works the same way for multiple tables as well, as long as they are linked together. So the concept, it's the same whether we are using a table here or multiple tables. So in our case, we'll want to create a query where the user will actually have to input, let's say, the date, a specific date. So we'll go here under Create, go under Queries, Query Wizard, Simple Query Wizard, OK, and then we'll go under Contracts and we'll put the number, ID, amount, date, and the type. Any of the fields that you want to include. Click on Next, Next, and initially we are not inserting any criteria yet. We give it a name and then Finish. At this point, notice that it ran the query with all the fields that we selected. And the query is listed down here. Now at this stage, we are going to go and change the design of this query where the user will be prompted to enter, let's say, the date. We are going to change the design. You can either do it, open it up here, this query first, and then go under the Home tab, and then go under View, and go into Design View. Or you can right-click and choose Design View. Now notice here, these are the fields that we have selected that we are using for our query. And notice there's an option here for criteria. So let's say we want the signing date. We're going to put a criteria in there where the user is actually going to input that. And the criteria, if you're going to use user input, you need to put it in brackets. And then close brackets as well. We'll close it at this point. We could of course run it, but we're going to close it so we save these changes. And before we run it, if we go here under Contracts, notice that we have some dates here. For example, 3/1/2010, or 2/9/2010, or 5/28/2010. So let's take note of 3/1/2010 and 5/28/2010. Now we are going to run this query that we created, and notice it says enter the date. This is looking for that parameter, so the user needs to just type 3/1/2010 and then hit OK. And notice there are two records with this from that table. If I go and rerun this again, and let's say I do, now I want to run it on 5/28/2010. And notice we have two more records as well. So that's how we create a query using user input, or with user input. From here you can actually create a report. So reports usually run from data based on the tables, or you can run reports from queries. So this, you're learning actually two concepts. You're learning how to run a report from a query, and also that query and the report, then it is going to ask for user input. So let's go under Create tab to create the report. Click on the Report Wizard, and then we are going to select the query here, Contracts by Date. Pick all the fields that you want. Click on Next. Choose whether you want to do any grouping or any of that type of stuff. For now, we're going to leave it the way it is. Next. You can choose to sort these by contract number or ID or however you want. Next, and then click on Next again, and then give it a name. Contracts by Date in our case. And you can name these however you want. Click on Finish. Notice it's prompting us for the date. So if we say 3/1/2010, it should give us only those two records that match that criteria. If we wanted to run this again for another date, we can simply go here under Contracts by Date, User Input, and let's say 5/28/2010. 2010. Click OK, and there is our data. Now, you can customize, of course, this report any way you wish to, the formatting and such. So notice we have these number field here and such. You can always customize that and choose to make that larger. And you can reference the previous video on how to do the formatting of the reports and customizing of the reports. And probably at this point you're wondering, well, how can I specify, how can I have this query so that instead of me putting 3/1/2010 date and giving me just for that specific date, can I have this query customized so I put the start date and it gives me all, and also I put the end date for a particular range, and then have the system list me all those criterias. So, and that is very doable, and all you'd have to do basically go back here to the design view, and we need to tweak and change this to include the range. So we can accomplish this by doing the following. So we enter the range, the starting range here. It has to be in brackets. You can have those words be whatever you want them to be. You put also the end range in brackets as well. And you use the word "and" in capital letters. Now here we are saying we want anything greater or equal to the start date and anything less or equal to the end date. Then we save this by clicking on the Save button here on the top. We'll close the query and then run it again. Now it says enter the start date, and we enter 3/1/2010. Of course, it has to fall within the range of data that you have in the system in your table. We enter also the end date, 5/28/2010, and notice the system displays the data that falls within those parameters. We could run this for any date ranges. So we could say 1/1/2010. I want to see all the contracts from the January 1st, and then all the way for the first 6 months to 6/30/2010. Click OK, and notice these are all the records or all the contracts for that date range. Now you can do the same thing. You can create a report for this where you can run this report at any point. The thing of the report, or the advantage of the report, is that you can make the data look nicer and such. If we go here under Create and we go under Reports and the Report Wizard and we go under the Contracts by Date, we insert all those fields in there. I just clicked on all the fields, press Next, Next. We can order them by contract number or whatever there, or by date, however you want them. Let's do them by date. Next, next. We give it a meaningful name, click on Finish. Notice it's trying to run it at this point, so we say 3/1/2010 to 12/31/2010. Click OK. Notice we have the data for all of that date range. Of course, you can go here and change the look and feel of this, customize this report any way that you would prefer. And you can go into the Edit option here under Design, and then View and the Layout view, and adjust how this is displayed. Format this any way you prefer, change the look and feel of it. Close it, saving it, and you can run this report at any point for any sales or whatever it is, and it works exactly the same way with multiple tables as well, as long as they are linked properly. So that's how you create a report based on a query with user input, whether it's single user input or multiple user input. It's one of the powerful features that most users will use in Microsoft Access from day-to-day tasks and business tasks. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to export data from Access into Excel. A lot of times in a business scenario and such, you can run reports, you can run queries, or you want to export data from your database and put it into an Excel spreadsheet and then work with the data and create charts and or use it for other functions from within Excel. So you can do it from the tables, or you can do it from a query. You can export the data from a query, or you can export the data from a report. So let's see first from a table, exporting data from a table into Excel. We click here on the contracts table, which looks like this at this point. We right click on it and there's this option for export, and you can choose to export it in any of those formats. You could also go under external data here and choose to export from up here into Excel. So right click, export Excel, and then choose the location where you want to save this and how you want the formatting and the layout if you prefer. Click OK, and you could choose to save those steps. Those steps, by the way, will show up on the external data here under the saved exports. Click close. Now that data should be in Excel. If I go here to my file manager, notice I have a file here called contracts. I open this file and now I can work with this any way that I prefer from Excel. And of course there are two separate entities at this point, so if you change something in Excel, it's not going to update it in Microsoft Access. So that's how you export data from a table. The process is exactly the same for exporting the data from a query or from a report. So for the query, we run the query first. So in this case, I have the query here, the date parameter and all that type of stuff. So this is my data. And now at this point, I can simply right click, choose export, Excel, choose where I want to store it, give it a name, press save, and finish. And we can do this for the contracts as well by customer. Same thing with the report. This is our report. Right click, choose export, choose Excel format, choose where you want to store it. Notice contracts by customer, report. Click OK. And now if I go to my the folder where I exported this, notice the data is there. And this was the query that I ran earlier for the dates from January 1 to June 30th from the query. So that's how exporting data works from Microsoft Access to another system such as Microsoft Excel. It's a commonly used feature in business. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to create a mail merge using a query from Microsoft Access. In order to create a mail merge, we can either use a table in Microsoft Access, an existing table, or we could use an existing query. So in our case, we are going to first create the query, and then we are going to create the mail merge. In that way, you learn both at the same time. So we go here under Create, go under Queries here, Query Wizard, and then Simple Query, OK. And then we're going to go under Customers, and let's say we want to use a customer ID, customer first name, last name, and then let's say the email, and also let's go under the Contracts table, and we'll get the contract amount and then the contract type as well. So we are just creating a query at this point with those fields from two tables. We click on Next, we give also a name to this, call it, and then click on Finish. So the data is here at this point. Now to create the mail merge, we can do this two ways. We can either create the mail merge directly from Microsoft Access, or we can go to Word first and create the mail merge from there. Or the other option would be to dump this data into Microsoft Excel and then do the mail merge from Microsoft Excel. So we'll basically do it from Access from this point. And then I'll show you from Word as well. So if we go here to this is our query. And then we go under external data. Notice you also can right click. So we have our query here, and then we go to external data, and the other option here is to actually create a word merge. So word merge, it says you specify the table and you create a mail merge wizard through Microsoft Word. We click on Microsoft Word merge here. It says, do you want to link it to an existing document or do you want to create a new one? We'll just create a new one because we don't have an existing letter currently. Click OK. Now the system is going to open Microsoft Word automatically, and here at this stage it's asking us as to what we want to do. Do we want to create letters, email messages, or envelopes and such? Once we are in Microsoft Word, here we type our letter. We could say dear, and then insert field, we put first name, comma, and we basically just type our letter, and then every so often in our letter we can actually include here various fields from our access table. Basically we type the letter here with incorporating the fields that we have in our access database. So here we could use their first name, last name, we could use their contract amount stated somewhere, and then a contract type. If we needed more fields, then we need to go and customize our query from the Access database. So for now I'm just going to put the amount and the type here. So we say thank you for partnering with us to meet your needs with the recent contract, and the computer will put the amount in there. And you could put the contract type. Of course it has to make sense. And then you basically finish typing your letter. Then we go here under the next stage here, or start your document. And then we can use the current document in our case, or we could have created, used an existing document if you have a letter from before. Then we go select recipients. We'll use an existing list. And then we'll select the existing list here, which is basically a customer query for mail merge. So we don't really need to select the list. It's already selected because we started the mail merge from Microsoft Access. So that's how it's linked automatically there. Now here we write our letter, which we actually just did earlier. And then it says here preview our letters. Notice Dear Owen, and then contract 1, and then this was the contract. And then the next step here is to complete the mail merge. So we click on complete the merge, and then edit individual letters, then click OK here. Now here we can see all the various letters from that mail merge from that specific query. Now keep in mind, this you don't need to modify. If there is something that needs to be corrected and such, you need to actually go back to the database and change the information in the database and then rerun the query. The beauty of this stuff is, and I'm going to close this mail merge results at this point, so I'll say I don't need to save the results, but the beauty of this is that if I save this form, and this is the form actually that typically has the codes and all that stuff linked to the database, if I save this, and then I close Word, and then I come back here to my document. So this was my letter, and 2 weeks have passed or something, time has passed. Now I want to rerun this again. Notice if I open it up again, it will ask me, do I want to update it for link to the Access query? I say yes, and now I can go ahead here and go under mailings, go under mail merge, and then step by step, and pretty much here I don't actually have to do the step by step. I could go here under finish and merge and then edit individual letters, and it's going to actually rerun the whole query again. I know I did this fairly quickly, so you can rewind the video and see it again for your benefit. But the advantage is that you don't have to always create a new form. You can simply save the form from Word, open it up whenever you want to rerun it, and it's going to pull the data directly from that query from the Access database automatically for you. So this was the way how to do a query from Microsoft Access into Word. The other way to do it is that you can open Word first and then go to Microsoft Access and pull the data from a query or from a table, and that will work as well. So if I go here to Microsoft Word and I open a new document here, and then I go under Mailings, I go under Start a Mail Merge, and I'd recommend that you use the Mail Merge wizard here. Then start Next, and we're going to use a current document here, or just this current blank document that we have in front of us. Next, here we're going to select the recipients. Now notice it doesn't link automatically to our table into the database, so we have to actually go in and link to it. So if I click here on Browse, now I need to find my database where I have it and double click on it, and now notice it lists all the tables and the queries, so you can actually do a mail merge from actual tables or from the queries within a database. Now I click OK here. Notice it shows all the records here, including the fields that we had selected as part of that query. We could filter and sort them if we wanted to do that furthermore, but for now we're not. Then we're going to write the letter, and we say Dear, and then insert field, and we say first name space last name, and then write the letter with the various fields. It's going to put the amount. So basically you're just putting the actual fields that you want to use. Of course, I'm doing this fairly quickly here for the sake of time. You could put additional comments, and then you can preview those letters. So this is how it's going to look. Thank you, dear Owen. Thank you for your contact type and such, residential, number 1, and so on and so on. Next, you click on here on Complete the Merge. Then you choose Edit Individual Letters. This just gives you an idea as to what they're going to look like. So right now we have 5 letters that have been generated automatically. So that's how that works. Now the other thing that you can do is from Access or from Word, you could do also email merges. So if I go here to my customers, notice customers table has an email field. So I could actually do an email merge for those customers, and I could either create a query that includes those email fields, or I could use my customer table for this purpose. So if I wanted to send them contact information and all that stuff, which is in a different table, then you'll need to use a query, and you need to include the email field in one of those queries. For the sake of time, I'm not going to create a query for that at this stage, but I'm just going to use the table customers, which has already a field with email in it, and we'll create an email merge. So as I have opened here the customers table, and I click on mail merge or word merge. So here's customers, word merge, and then it's asking us, do we want to link to an existing Word document or create one? We want to create a new one. So basically you're going to write the email in Word, and then it's going to use Microsoft Outlook to actually deliver the mail. So it's important here as well that the third piece of this puzzle is actually to use Microsoft Outlook and have Microsoft Outlook configured to be able to receive and send emails as well. So now notice Microsoft Word has been opened here in the bottom, and then we say, okay, I want to create email messages here. Then I say next here to start the document. Then it says, do you want to use the current document or do you want to use an existing document? So we'll use the current document, which is right here. Then select the recipients. the recipients, it's already linked to the customers table in Access. So we don't have to really select the customers at this point or type a new one. We'll use the existing list. Then we'll write the email message. And here we just write dear, and then put their first name, last name, comma, and you're basically just picking the fields and being creative, or whatever your need is, to utilize those fields in your email to them. So in this case, we're going to tell them, okay, here's what we have on file with you or from you on our systems, and if you have any problems or anything like that, just let us know. So we say a name, first and last name, then we could put in there street address, and you basically format this a little bit nicer if you'd like. You can go here under the Home tab and customize this any way you want. And so next, you click on Preview your email message. Then you complete the merge next. And then we're going to choose here electronic mail. So this is the difference between the Word email merge and a regular mail merge for letters. Here for the email merge, you have to click on electronic mail. And then the other field here, the other important thing is that you have to tell the system which field actually contains the email address. So in this drop down, it has to be the field that corresponds with the email address from your Access table or Access query. For example, here is in Access, this is email. It's called email, the label on the top here. And then you type the subject line here. So this would be just like as if you were to type an individual email to somebody. That would be the subject that you want to write to them. And then the email format, HTML. You want to use HTML particularly if you want to embed pictures and things of that nature as part of your document here. But what we typed over here is going to be the body of the message that is going to be sent through email. Now again, it's important, if I press OK here, it's actually going to open up Microsoft Outlook, and it's actually going to try to send all of those emails that are in the table in the Access database. So it's going to try to email here 42 customers, all in one click basically. So I'm not going to press OK here because it's not going to try to send those, but that's how this system will work for sending email messages. It's a powerful feature. Again, you can actually go then back through Microsoft Word and do the same thing like we did for the regular letters and create an email merge. You can do it either from Microsoft Access, from the table itself, and initiate the email merge, or you can do this from Word, go through the steps of the mail merge, and then pull the table, pull the fields, write the email, and press send from Word. And then in the sent messages in Microsoft Outlook, you'll see each individual email that was sent out. So that's how you do a mail merge and an email merge. And of course, you can also do labels if you needed to from here as well through Microsoft Access. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a switchboard or a dashboard for your database so that whenever you open your database, you'd actually, instead of having a view like this and then trying to figure out as to what is where, you'd have more of a nicer view like a dashboard menu type of system where you'd be able to get to certain tables or certain queries or reports much easier and more user-friendly. So how do we create that? Unfortunately, in Access 2016, Microsoft hid that away. So the easiest way to get to the switchboard manager is by simply going here under the Tell Me feature, which is this little box right here telling Microsoft Access what you want to do. And then you So we go here on the Tell Me feature and we type switchboard. And then click on Switchboard Manager. And it says the Switchboard Manager was unable to find a valid switchboard for this database. Would you like to create one? And that is great because that's what we want to do. So you click on Yes. And then it's going to give us a default switchboard. So once it opens the default switchboard, here we click on Edit. And then we want to add new items to this switchboard. Then we click on New. And then here is one of the options or one of the menus that we can define. So let's say we wanted to update customer records. And here we go under the command. Then we need to tell the system as to what we want to do. In our case, we want to open a form either in add mode or edit mode. So in our case, we want to update existing records. So we want to choose edit mode. And then we go to the form that we want to be editing. So we go under here and we choose the customer form and then click OK. Another option, so we click here on New and we choose Add New Customer. And then go under the switchboard, click on the form for open form in add mode, and then we go over here under customer's form as well. So now we have two of them. Then we add another command that we want as part of our dashboard. We click on New, and then let's say we want to see the contacts by date. We want to open a report. So you can either open forms or reports in this case, or macros. So here we'll click on Open a Report, and we'll change this, let's say, contacts by date. And then you click on Open Report, and then you choose a report that you want to run. Click OK, and you can keep on adding more items like this as well. So you could go here and choose Then you can also choose a new item here, return, because you want to navigate back home. You choose go to the switchboard, and then the switchboard that you want to go is the default switchboard. So I close the main switchboard. Now I can go and create additional switchboard pages as well. So in this case, I want a switchboard just called Reports. Click OK. And now I go into the Reports switchboard. I create New to add a new item. Then I edit. Then I edit the report, the switchboard, and I add a new item there. So let's say I want in there view customers. And then open a report, pick the report that you want, and then keep on adding whatever components you have. Because sometimes in a database you'd have hundreds of reports and hundreds of queries and such, and in this stuff here on the left, it could get very messy. So the switchboard actually helps you categorize what you want in the order that you want them presented. Then whenever you create another switchboard, it's also important to create here a return to the main switchboard option as well. So return home, and then you want to go to the switchboard and you want to choose which switchboard you want to go to, click OK, and then close this stuff. And then close it again. Now, whenever you define the switchboard, you also have to do one more thing in order to tell Microsoft Access and the database, so whenever it opens, which form to open. So in this case, we need to go to do that. We need to go under the File menu. We go here under Options. Then we go under the current database. And then over here where it says Display, right here, we want to choose to display. Whenever you open the database, you want to choose to display the switchboard. Then you click OK, and then it says we need to close the database for this to take effect, so we'll need to exit the database. And now notice it presents me with the main switchboard here. Of Of course, we could change the colors, we could make this fancier and all that type of stuff as well. Typically, you can hide all this other stuff here on the left and make it so it opens like this. So basically, if you wanted to add a new customer, you could click on Add New Customer, and now notice it takes you to your customer to add the new customer. If I wanted to view the contracts by date range, so notice it's going to prompt me for the contracts. And it's going to play me the report content that I had requested. I could review also the customer report if I needed to, and there it is with a single click. So that's how you create the switchboard items here. If you wanted to change the colors and all that type of stuff, you can simply go here under View, and then under either Design View or the Layout View, you can change the theme to something more appealing to you. And you could add more controls, and you could add more text in here as well. When you're ready and done, you could put a logo if you'd prefer and all that type of stuff. But basically, this is a mechanism for your staff and yourself to be able to access this and in a user-friendly way. If you wanted that switchboard manager tool all the time, you can either use the Tell Me feature over here, or you could actually go ahead and add it over here under the Quick Access toolbar. You can go and choose More Commands, and then choose to show all the commands, and then scroll down here to Switchboard somewhere, Switchboard Manager, and then you add it to the right. Then click OK. And it's going to show up here on the Quick Access toolbar on the very top. So that'll display you your main switchboard where you can make edits and change stuff if you needed to do that. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to add a new field to your database or to one of the tables in your database. Suppose that you designed your database and now all of a sudden you have a need to add an additional field for your customer table or some of the tables there. So what you can do is go ahead and go to the specific table, and the easiest would be to go to Design View here, and then add a new field wherever you want that new field. So for example, first name, last name, and then telephone number and such. But let's say I want to also post in there a picture for this customer. Then under the data type, what you want to choose here is attachment. And basically we're saying we're going to add a field called picture, and this is going to be an attachment. Now the reason why I'm choosing attachment is because I have not covered the attachment option earlier, and this is new in Access. So once you define this, then click on Close here for the table and save the changes. We are saving the changes because we changed the design of the table. If we open the customers table, notice one of the fields will be attachment, like it has this attachment option right here. Now in order to add the attachments, you can of course double click here and add and choose to add attachments and such, the picture, and then choose OK. That's one way to do it. Or the other way to do this would be if we created here a new form. So if we go here under Form, and under Customers, we add all these fields, next, next, finish. We should have in here a field for the picture. So let's say for customer Owen here, we want to add his picture. Notice we click on it, and notice here it says Manage Attachments. You can click on it, click on Add, and then go and find the picture. Click OK, and there is the picture. So that's how you add attachments to an existing table, by adding the field first and then by creating the form next. You can also customize an existing form with an attachment field by editing and using the design view and the layout view. If you made it this far in the tutorial, thank you for doing so. I hope that this tutorial was beneficial to you, and that you can go ahead and check out also the other tutorials that I have on this channel.